I've had a message from one of my subscribers on YouTube about the suggestion that the problem could possibly be on this scope, be a non-volatile RAM corruption or something like that. So what I've done is I've opened up the unit, and as you can see here the top's open. Let me just take the camcorder off. Now this is a different camcorder I'm using this evening. It'd be interesting to see what you think of the image quality. This is a little Canon HDC SD90. Now this is the digital board exposed here, and this is a battery that's been replaced at some point, and you can see there it's just been tacked in behind this ribbon cable here. So what he suggested was disconnect the battery, short the connections out on the board so it clears all the basically any residue capacitance in the memory circuits, and try again and power it up and see what we get. At this present time I'm open to any suggestions, and it seems a fair enough thing to try. It's also got a couple of jumpers here that I'm not entirely sure what they're for, and you can see they're marked up here, and these jumpers just marked in the centre here, but they're in their normal operating position. There's also a where are we? Below this chip here, trying to get my orientation here. There's a short for a reset. I've tried that already, didn't make any difference, but I'm going to go and give it this thing a try with disconnecting the battery. So let's put this back on the tripod. Okay, so let's zoom back in. So what I'll do is I'll disconnect the battery. Now this is a GPIB cable I'm just disconnecting. This basically can leave this disconnected. All it is it's a connection out to the GPIB Tektronix sort of connector on the back of the unit, so that can be left disconnected. It lifts out fairly easy. So that's the battery disconnected. Now I've never had any non-volatile RAM error messages on this particular scope. But that doesn't mean, of course, that there isn't something wrong with the unit. So I'm just going to get a jumper lead here. I'm just going to short out the negative and positive, so that will hopefully discharge any capacitance it's got built into the unit. Just give it a couple of seconds to discharge. Make sure I get it right the way flat. Okay, so backup battery is not connected anymore, so let's zoom out so you can see the display. Let's power it up. Let's see what we get on the check screen. Okay, we've got another, obviously now we've got a FPP, that's front panel processor, has failed. We've still got all the other problems there. So we've got the CCD, the preamplifiers and triggers still failing. Let's just scroll down to the front panel. Now I can't keep this scope running for too long because I haven't got the fan on the underneath. Okay, and you can see here battery status has failed. Okay, so that's all that's failed. So let's just power it back down again. Now we're clear. Obviously that hasn't made any difference, but what I will do is I'll reconnect the battery back up again, and then what we'll probably try and do is run a self-calibration on it, see if we can get anywhere with that. Let's reconnect the battery. Typical, can't get the battery to solder back in now. Now the seller who I bought this off did tell me that they replaced the battery a couple of years ago. Now these batteries do fail on these. so I don't expect the battery to be a problem anyway, so that's a battery back in. What I will do quickly, whilst I've got this cover open, because I haven't been checking the battery voltage or done anything inside this board, because I've been hoping really it wasn't this board anyway. So just check the battery voltage. The battery voltage is 4.0 volts, 4.02 volts, so battery voltage is good, so it's definitely not that. So I'm going to power it up again. Hopefully now we haven't got this error message we had just now. Okay, so we've cleared that problem now, so it doesn't look like it's anything to do with that. So what I'm going to do, I've still got a board coming. I've got one of these boards coming. Just put your tripod again. So I've got one of these boards coming in the post. It may be here tomorrow, but I doubt it. So we could actually try just replacing the whole board. Fairly straightforward thing to do. See if we get anywhere with any improvements with that, and then it's continuing on with the calibration. So that's this part of the video. I'm going to edit another part on to run a self-diagnostics, and you can see exactly what happens when I try and do a self-calibration or an external calibration, and basically run through what I'm doing and show you exactly what this thing's showing you. But at the moment you can see there, these are the failures it's got, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail in the next part of the video. Okay, I'm going to attempt to perform an external calibration. I'm afraid it's going to be handheld, so which might be a little bit shaky. I'm just going to run an external calibration just to confirm that it won't respond to any of the calibration procedures I try and do on it. So pressing attenuator gain, and let's do that first. It says connect a 0.2 volt DC supply to the, and press a bezel button, and then press menu on off to abort. Okay. I'm going to apply the DC supply, so this is going up to this BNC here, and then we're going up to the function generator. I'm going to select DC on the function generator, and then set our DC offset until we set what's it, 100 millivolts. Let me just confirm that. 200 millivolts. So we're going up to look at the adjuvant here. I'm going to set 200 millivolts. As close as we can. It's pretty good. And press the bezel key. And it's set at 2 volt. So basically just remove the minus 20 dB attenuation. That's more or less 2 volts there. Just increase the voltage slightly. 2 volts. Press the button, or a button. It's at 20 volts. And this has to be done with a external supply, unfortunately. And it's always a bit tricky doing this one-handed. I can't get 20 volts out of the function generator. So what I'm just doing now, though it's off screen, you can't see it. I'm connecting a BNC socket up to an external supply. So that's that. I'm going to set 20 volts on there. I'm going to plug that from the generator into the output, so we get the 20 volts, adjust that to 20 volts. Just damn it. And then it says connect channel 2 to 200 millivolts. So disconnect that again. One is 20 dB, so there's literally 200 millivolts there. That's spot on. Press a button. 2 volts. And your 20 volts. Now, on the other scope that does work, it should give you a pass. Oh! Ah, that's good. I've never had this pass. Oh, that's interesting. So that's good. I've got a pass on the attenuator. That's the first time ever. Excellent. Okay. I'm not going to get my hopes up too much, but I've actually had a breakthrough this evening. So channel delay. So what have I got to do? Running. So what do I do? Running repeat channel test. It's running it now, I assume. So why is this suddenly passing? There were these 2 jumpers on the top of the sideboard here, and they look like one of them was in the wrong place, and I've just moved them over because they were selected to 2432. I haven't done anything to this board. When it came, it had this jumper off here. This jumper here allows you to go into calibration mode. I think someone had moved these over by accident, and possibly, just possibly, caused the problem. So I don't know what this is doing at the moment, but I pressed the button and it's sat there and frozen. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video and come back if it actually gets anywhere. Okay, unfortunately it comes back with the attenuators are uncalibrated, but that's not entirely true because it says the attenuator gain has passed, but it fails the channel delay. So there is still a problem, but that is further than I got before. I'm going to try this test next, and this is the trigger calibration, and we'll do this again. And it says connect the trigs to a ground and then press the bezel button. Now you can do that by connecting a couple of terminators up, I think. So I'm just going to try that. I've got all my terminators. Those actually, that'll be fine. So my external triggers, and we'll just ground those. Let's ground the other one. So it says connect and press the menu on and off button to abort, so press a bezel key, so it doesn't matter which one. Connect 1/2 volt DC. Oh, both the triggers together. Alright, to 1/2 volt DC. Alright, so we're going to do that. I'm going to put this back on the tripod, this camera. It's more it's impossible to hold the camera. Christ. That's not good. Whoops, that was screwing into the wrong hole. That wasn't the tripod hole. Oh, well, the camera survived. It's still working anyway. Okay, so BNC. Now you're supposed to use the leads exactly the same length, but because it's such a high impedance input anyway, they're not going to get any noticeable. It's a DC level anyway, we're not going to get a voltage drop or anything like that. Just put the 2 inputs together on the trigger. Zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Then I'm setting, so it says 1/2 volt. I think can you see that okay? Bring it around a bit so you can see. volt. Half volt exactly. 2 volts. Ah, it's past the triggers. We are getting further than we usually do. I don't know if I fixed the problem, but I'm certainly I was never getting these sort of calibration things before. So I've got the repeat calibration now. I don't know what you do with that. I think you just press the button, it does it itself. It doesn't ask you to put any inputs in or anything. Let that run. Failed. Okay. Mind you, it says it's running still. Is it running? It's just running here. So we've got partial calibration on the attenuators now. We've got the triggers to pass. We're trying to run the repeat mode now. I think this probably will fail because this is all part of the problem of things exhibiting at the moment on the high time base where it shows up errors. But I wonder if it was something stupid like that jumper was in the wrong position. I never even bothered to check that, to be honest with you, because the machine came already sort of in the calibration mode because it sold the spares repairs. I assumed that the jumper was in the right position. I didn't even bother to check. But it's failed that, unfortunately. It's just finished the test. But it has passed the triggers. Repeat modes or repetition modes has failed. And we've still got this problem here with the channel delay. Let's try that again. It says running a repeat cal first, so obviously it does that test that it's just done and fails that. So there is obviously still a problem, but I'm wondering if there was more than one problem. It's either that I fixed some problems by changing the transistors I've changed on the board, which I've changed some transistors on the output stage of the CCD, or one of those jumpers was in the wrong place. Well, I think we're pretty sure that this isn't going to pass this calibration test here, but we'll let it finish, and then I think we'll have to progress on with some more fault finding to see if we can work out what's wrong with it still. But I've got this, as I say, I've got this board coming. Hopefully it might come this weekend, or it might come next week. Get that board in, and maybe get some joy with that. But I've still got a funny feeling it's on the board that I've been working on, the bottom board, the analog board. Just something wrong there. I don't know what it is. Okay, so that's yep, it's failed that as well. So. And the CT cal, that's the one thing you do last. It actually will say that, I think, if you press that. Yeah, this test must be done last. Yeah, so we quit from that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and more to come.